1st of May, and today is the start of Thyroid Awareness Month here in Australia. We have World Thyroid Day coming up at the end of May on the 25th, and it's International Thyroid Awareness Week at the end of May, but the whole month in Australia is Thyroid Awareness Month. And so I'm going to take this month to do my best to raise awareness for thyroid health issues. And I'm going to do that in a few different ways, which I'll get to in a minute. But first off, I want to start by just setting the scene for you for just how common it is to have a thyroid problem in Australia. Now, it's hard to actually get these statistics accurate. Many people with a thyroid condition go undiagnosed, misdiagnosed, and underdiagnosed. So the stats aren't altogether accurate and they vary. They vary. However, here are some stats that just to, I guess, or some figures to give you some context. So in Australia, the Australian Thyroid Foundation estimates that 60,000 new cases of thyroid disease are diagnosed each year. So 60,000 a year. It is estimated that 1 million Australians are living with a thyroid condition undiagnosed, so they do not know that they have a thyroid condition. 1 million, like that's a huge number, 1 million. And, you know, when we come to another video, really understanding the symptoms associated with thyroid disease, you'll see that those 1 million people are probably suffering quite significantly in their day-to-day life and not know why, and not therefore able to get the treatment and management that's going to help them to feel good. The healthdirect.gov.au website says that 1 in 6 or almost 1 in 6 Australians will have a thyroid disease at some point in their lifetime. Now, I've always quoted the stat 1 in 8, which I think 1 in 8 is quite a lot. But 1 in 6, like that's a lot of people. That's like 1 in a large family, 1 in every large family. If you think about your, 5 best girlfriends or 5 best friends, they don't all have to be women. That's one of you is going to have a thyroid condition. I think that's an extraordinary number. And particularly when we get to how little is actually really known, understood, and how poorly it's managed. Just if you're not in Australia and listening to this, look, the statistics in Western world are fairly similar. And really the issues are very similar in Western countries around the world. So really doesn't matter. You don't have to be in Australia to get benefit out of Thyroid Awareness Month. It's estimated in America, to give you an example, that 20 million Americans have a thyroid condition, which is a lot. 20 million people is a huge amount, and about 60% don't know. That's the estimate from American statistics. So it could be very similar here in Australia. Roughly 20% of thyroid conditions are found in men, and about, I guess, the balance of 80% in women. So the bottom line is it's a pretty common thing to have a problem with your thyroid. And we will talk in the next video about all the different kinds of things that can go wrong with your thyroid. But just to know, it's a very, very common problem. And so you will, by sheer definition, know many, many, many people who have a thyroid condition, some of which will know that they do, some don't, and maybe you are one of them. There's a good chance you're one of them, given that you're watching or listening to this little video. So what I want to cover then, now we've got some sense of just how many people are affected. I'm going to give you a very, very brief explanation of what the thyroid is and the function, the role that it plays in the body. I'm going to tell you why it's so important that this month we raise awareness, and I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of what else is happening this month. So what is the thyroid? So if you are watching this on YouTube or on social media, you'll see I'm pointing to my throat. It's a butterfly. The thyroid is a butterfly-shaped gland that sits here in your throat, in your neck. And it is known as the master gland. And it's called the master gland for good reason, because it actually it produces thyroid hormones, and thyroid hormones are responsible for massive, massive things in the body, like regulating your metabolism. So that's like your energy and your ability to, have energy, burn fat, just function, have metabolic health, things like digestion, mood, skin, hair, skin, nails, body temperature regulation. In fact, every single cell in your body has receptors for T3, which is the active thyroid hormone. That means every single cell in your body needs adequate, at least adequate, if not optimal, thyroid hormone to function as it's meant to function. It's not an optional extra. It's not a body part you can do without. Well, yes, you can have it removed, but you're going to have thyroid hormone replacement medication if you do have it removed. So, it's an absolutely core fundamental gland in your body. That's why it's called the master gland. Think of it like the superhero. Like it really, really, it's like a superhero in its impact, but it's just this fairly small, like when you think about it's in your neck, very delicate and sensitive gland. So it's not to be underestimated, the impact that thyroid hormones and your thyroid health have on your overall whole health and function of every system within your body. So the next video, which will come out on Wednesday, I am going to explain all the different things that can go wrong with the thyroid. So the different kinds of thyroid diseases, just so you're aware of the spectrum, and I'll tell you which ones are the most common and which ones are not the most common. So why do we have a whole month dedicated to raising thyroid awareness? Well, obviously it's a common problem, but it's still one that a lot of people just don't know about. Most people, don't really understand what the thyroid does, where it is, what can go wrong with it, what are the symptoms to look out for in case you do discover, that you're kind of experiencing different symptoms and you're not sure. Well, it could, you'll see when we get to that it could be your thyroid. The other reason to raise awareness for it is there are many, many people who do know that they've got a thyroid problem, but it's not being well managed. Perhaps it's just being managed with medication. Perhaps you've been told there's nothing you can do until your thyroid function deteriorates to the point where you need medication. Perhaps you've been told we've run the thyroid test and there's nothing wrong with your thyroid, but you're still experiencing symptoms. There's so much to be said about the way our standard medical model manages thyroid health, but that is not for this video, but it is to give you an idea that even if you know you've got a thyroid problem, even if you think you're doing all the things, if all the things is you're getting it tested once every year or so and you're taking your medication, I can tell you that's not all the things. You are probably suffering from symptoms that could be resolved with a more of a holistic approach to thyroid management. And on the Let's Talk Thyroid podcast and with all of what I do around thyroid health, what I really like to do is I like to raise awareness for thyroid health all the time, not just in May, but I also like to bring a positive and practical approach because, for a common problem, and the reality is a lot of the symptoms, depending on your thyroid condition, but symptoms can be quite debilitating. You need to know that there is hope. There's lots of different things that you can do to help manage your thyroid health well. So I really want to raise awareness, not just for what the thyroid is and what can go wrong, but what we will get to is what can we actually do about it. So throughout this month, what I'm going to be doing for my contribution to not World Thyroid Month, but Australian Thyroid Awareness Month, is I'm going to do a few more of these little mini videos. And the topics I'm going to cover, just to give you a quick rundown, I'm going to do the next one will be understanding thyroid disorders. Then I'm going to cover symptoms, different testing and screening, treatment options, how you live with a thyroid disorder, how to build your thyroid support team, and we'll do a bit of a wrap up at the end. And now, so that's what we're going to do. They're going to be these sort of short little videos. The idea is that you can share these with your community, your family and friends that may or may not know that they have a thyroid condition. So you can help me get the message out there by sharing these videos or posts that I might share during May, because the more of us that hear about what thyroid health is about and hear each other's stories, then the more people that we're going to help. So part of that is I have asked a few people to share their thyroid stories on the podcast. So I've got a couple of those recorded. If you are listening and you would like to share your thyroid story, please send me a message, reach out to me, because I'd love to hear it and be able to share it. I'm a firm believer that everybody's story, whilst we've got similarities, are different. And we can, as we listen to different people's stories, it can help us to connect the dots in our own thyroid story. We're talking about stories. I'm going to gear up for at the end of the month, actually from the 1st of June. I'm going to run a 5-day Write Your Thyroid Story challenge. I'm going to help you to, if you know, assuming you know at this point that you have a thyroid condition, I'm going to help you to write your story. So that basically you have it for your own benefit. You have it to take to to medical practitioners or allied health practitioners. You have it just to, in your own mind, be able to connect the dots of how you've got to where you've got and what you're doing about moving forward. I really think there's power in knowing and connecting all of that so that you can bring about healing in your own, for your own thyroid health. And then that might give you confidence to share your story with other people as well. So keep an eye out for that at the end of the month. On the 25th of May is World Thyroid Day. I am hosting a thyroid-friendly morning tea at my home in Brisbane, Australia. So if you are in Brisbane or Southeast Queensland and you're around on Thursday, the 25th of May in the morning, then I would love to invite you for morning tea. I'll make sure that in the description there is a link to buy tickets, $20 to cover morning tea and a little thyroid-friendly gift. And we will, talk all things thyroid together over a lovely morning tea. If you're not in Brisbane or you can't come along, maybe consider getting together with a couple of other friends and talking about, sharing your thyroid stories, sharing what's working for you, how you're managing your thyroid health. You don't have to come to my morning tea, although if you're around, I would love to meet you. Get together, be the change in your own local environment, in your own little local community. So that is what is coming up in May for Thyroid Awareness Month. So I will see you on Wednesday. I'll do the next one, which will be all about understanding thyroid disorders. But for now, be on the lookout, be aware that May is Thyroid Awareness Month, and help me to share awareness across our beautiful country and globe all about thyroid health. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Let's Talk Thyroid. If you have enjoyed the content, or perhaps you're thinking, oh, my mum needs to hear this, or my sister or my bestie, I would love it if you would share this episode with them. That really just helps spread the positive and practical message of Let's Talk Thyroid and helps that broader thyroid community, our friends and family, to live well with their thyroid health. So you can just, share the episode. If you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast, it's free. It's really helpful because then you'll be notified every time a new podcast comes out, and it just makes it much easier to find. There's usually a little subscribe button or a bell or follow often is the terminology. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be helpful. Of course, if you want to leave a review, even better, just a sentence or two about how the podcast has helped you. You can definitely connect with me via letstalkthyroid.com. That's where you'll find access to my book, my coaching, my freebies, and really everything that I offer in terms of thyroid support.